Hello. First of all, thanks so much, Bruce and everyone, for getting me to come and have a chat with you guys. I feel really privileged to be able to tell my story and have a chat about what we've done over the years. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory. As Bruce said, I grew up in Appin, and Appin was a wonderful place to grow up because it wasn't too far from the city, but it was still out in the country. So I feel like I kind of got the best of both worlds. If you guys think I need it. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was definitely the best of both worlds. It was that real country upbringing, but you could still be around like everything that was happening, which I thought was a really, really good blend. And things have changed a lot in the last 30 years. I know I'm 30 years old. And back when I was a bit younger, if you wanted to get something, you had to go and get it yourself. That was kind of my ethos that my parents instilled into me. And I think things have changed a little bit. I'm sure some of you might agree or disagree. So I feel that's really kind of set me up pretty well on the journey there. As I've had to kind of work for a lot of stuff. But thankfully, at the same time, I had very supportive parents, so I think that's been a massively contributing factor too. So music was always something that's quite intrinsic to me. I was always drawn to music for whatever reason. Apparently, when I was 3 years old, I asked my mum for a saxophone. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get that saxophone at 3 years old. But when I was 5 years old, I got a clarinet. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like, yes, got a real instrument. It's going to be good. So I learned the clarinet, and of course, at the beginning, I was absolutely terrible. And after about 2 years of pestering my mum, I said, I want a saxophone. And finally, she buckled. And I got that saxophone at 7 years old. And I thought that was the best. I was a rock star. I was in the Bruce Springsteen band, practicing nearly every day. So a lot of my time out on the farm, we were kind of away from town a little bit. So if I wanted to go and see my friends, I actually had to get on a bike or I had to walk into town, and that was kilometres. So when you're that young, you're like, oh, couldn't be bothered. So I just stayed at home and I practiced. So that was a lot of my teenage years. And so going from there, I've always had a pretty good level of confidence, and in case you couldn't tell. Some might say too much, but is what it is. So after playing the saxophone for a long time, then picked up the guitar when I was 13, and that was the thing. When you're 13 years old and you see those videos on TV or whatever, and you see people playing guitar and they're in their rock bands, I saw that and went, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to do that. So from 13 to 17, I practiced probably 10 hours a day playing guitar in the garage. I was really meticulous about it. I made sure I took the right approach to that. So when it was time for me to get out in the world and play, I was ready and I'd be able to tackle any challenge that I could. So when I turned 16, started playing in pubs, and that was good fun, and then turned 18 and started getting gigs in a session band, as part of a session band, I should say. And that's where my journey in country music kind of took off, because up until this time it was all rock and roll, and we love rock and roll. It's the best. I never thought in a million years I'd be in country, but there's just something about the genre and something about the people that really attracted me to that particular industry. People are really genuine, really nice, and all that sort of thing. So I started playing session guitar for a guy called Peter McWhirter, who's kind of a local, I think, around this area, and he was signed to ABC at the time. So within the space of, I think, 1 month of joining that band, we got thrown into all these huge gigs, playing at the Gympie Muster, CMC Rocks, to 10,000, 15,000 people. So that was a real eye-opener. That was like, okay, this has turned into something pretty crazy. So following that, things aren't always perfect. So, as we know. So I've always kind of run into everything pretty high energy, in case you couldn't tell. And, sometimes this was also to a detriment. So in that band, I was actually fired for outshining the artist. But I was like, what the hell? I'm just having fun. Just trying to rock out. So I was like, okay, well, we'll keep going. So continued on playing. And it was at that time I was doing a lot of my own band stuff, naturally. And during that time, this was when the internet was starting to really come into play. So it was really important that we had good video content, good photos, things like that, so we could get these spots on festivals and continue to get the word out about the band. So that's when I started getting a little bit more interested in video, and this is where things changed quite dramatically. Because up until that point, it was mostly just music that I'd been doing my entire life. So did a little bit of a practice shoot at home, and it came together pretty decently. I thought, you know what, maybe there's something here. You know, if I just give this a crack, we'll see what happens. So I got myself some gear and went out every day for about 3 months and just practice shooting. Pretty much anywhere, you know, some places that were entirely legal to film and some that were not so legal to film. Got a really good view of that unfinished Doomben project over the back of Wilton. Yeah, about 3 months, and then that was the point where I was like, okay, I've got it. I think I've got it to a stage where I can finally shoot for people. So I started putting the word out that I was doing a bit of video, and then I had someone get in contact with me and they said, yeah, I'd like a video. So this is the first one that I did on the cheap, just so I could kind of get a start. So I'll walk over to the computer and I'm going to play you the first video that we actually shot. So this was for a girl called Katie Jane. And Katie Jane is an artist from Newcastle. And yeah, this was the first proper music video that I shot. So I'll play about a minute of this or so.
It was a sunlit avenue, you and me walking hand in hand. It all felt so new. We were young and free with nothing left to do. You whispered in my ear, saying all the words that I wanted to hear. That was years ago. Now you're just a memory. Then the days when nothing lasts forever, but the nights went on and on. That's when I first saw you looking at me, and it felt like I had nothing on. How were we to know love don't last forever? We were too damn young to see that we weren't gonna make it. Now 17, talking about full.
That's that one. That's the first video we ever shot. So, you know, you kind of look back at things you've done in the past. You're like, oh man, maybe I would have changed a thing or two. But you know, I was, you know, even looking back on that, I was like, okay, well maybe there's something here. So when that video came out, you know, I just went breakneck pace, and you know, everyone was hearing about the videos that we were shooting, and I made sure of it. So this is kind of how it started. It started with an artist that was just kind of up and coming. This was actually Katie's first single. And you know, artists saw this and then thought, okay, well, you know, here's an option which I might be able to do for video. And from that point, we started shooting with artists that were progressively more established. So artists such as Kate Hindle and then Ben Gunn, who was recently on the Big Country Festival down here in Kiama. So it progressively got to bigger and bigger artists as they saw what I was doing. And then I got a call from Tom Wolfe from the Wolfe Brothers. Do you guys know the Wolfe Brothers? Thanks, Bruce. I'm sure you filled them. Do like a warm audience. So I remember Tom sent me a message on Facebook and he said, do you reckon you could show me your best clip? I was like, oh God, here we go. So showed him the clip, which was a Ben Gunn one at the time. And he said, you know, how would you feel about coming down to Tasmania and we do a bit of shooting down here? At that point, I was like, I thought about that for about 1 second and went, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. So that was probably the first big artist that I'd shot with. And down in Tasmania, we were blessed with the most incredible weather and the most incredible sunsets. You know, some days are really hit and miss. You might get a really beautiful day, and some days they might just be awful. This was like 11 out of 10. So it was like the stars aligned. And that gave me an opportunity to get a lot of time lapses of the sun going down, and the lighting conditions for video were just perfect, like beautiful reds and purples through the sky. It was really, really beautiful. So we had a really simple storyline. It was more just about showcasing the landscape of Tasmania. Has anyone here been down to Tasmania?
Yeah, 5 times. Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, it is. It's truly stunning. You know, I don't think you can really find anything on the mainland like Tasmania. It's kind of its own little beautiful part of the world. I won't make too many Tasmanian jokes, but they get enough of it. But we shot this clip for the Wolf Brothers. So this is the first kind of big clip that I had. And you'll see exactly what I mean. The first shot in this music video is a time lapse of the sun actually going down. Now I reversed it so it looks like it's coming up. It looks like it's sunrise, but you know, things you can do with video. So we'll watch about a minute of this or so. And you'll see what I mean about the landscapes.
Rain drops heading my way in the Camry with some Cabernet on the front seat, on the hands-free. She calls me to say she's coming to my place. Clouds are closing in around this house. Lock the doors and shut the windows down. Light a candle in case I can see when the lights go out. Here you come, go crashing down like a sweet summer rain on a dust bowl town. Wreck my bed like a cyclone wind. Girl, your love's like watching a storm roll in. Lightning strikes. You said it couldn't hit the same spot twice. Don't stop, never sounded so right. Yeah, the thunder run under the covers. Better hold on tight. Hold on tight. Here you come, go crashing down like a sweet summer rain on a dust bowl town. Wreck my bed like a cyclone wind. Girl, your love's like watching the storm roll in. Yeah, your love's like watching the storm roll in. In the morning, I'll say, girl, you're
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that video there. So, I mean, you point a camera anywhere and it's just incredible. And that's something I've kind of done over the years, is I've sort of, as much as I could, tried to let the landscapes do the talking. Because here in Australia, it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And it's huge. So we have so much diversity of landscape too. So that's something I think, especially with country music, has been really important to be able to showcase what we have here, because it's the best. It's that simple. So at this point, I kind of started to learn a little bit more in the way of film techniques. This clip that you guys just saw, we actually shot, we sped up the song. So the song was about double the speed. So they're in the paddock going like this sort of speed, singing really, really fast. But what we do is we film them in slow motion and then we bring it back. So they're singing in time, but everything around them is super dreamy. Yeah, so it's pretty cool technique, that one. So that video went out, which was great. And while I was in Tasmania on this trip, you know, Tom, it's always Tom Wolf. He comes up to me and he gets this side eye thing going on. He goes, you know, what do you reckon we shoot another clip? So I took one more second to think about that and said, yep, sounds good to me. And they had this idea. It was a really special song. And, you know, these guys did take a bit of a risk on me because at this point, you know, I was kind of an untested sort of thing, just sort of coming through. And they had a song called Hey Brother. And this was a song that actually got nominated in the Golden Guitars for Video of the Year. And I think just on the song and the meaning alone, you know, forget the video. It's such a powerful song. Definitely deserved to be there. So on this particular trip, we shot some of the performance shots, and we found this country hall up in a place called Parrata, which is in the middle of Tasmania. So we shot those shots, and then on a second trip, I came back and we did the rest of the clip. Now, what we did is we interviewed people from all walks of life that had a lot to do with the military. Because as we know, the military life can kind of be a really tough one. You know, it takes a lot out of people, and when people get spat out the other side, they can end up with a lot of mental issues from some of the traumatic things that they've seen over the years. So what we did is we want to shine a light on this and say, help is hope. It's okay to talk to your mates and let them know how you are, so we can all just keep being part of this journey together and no one gets left behind. So we interviewed people from all walks of life, young veterans, old veterans, families that had lost veterans to suicide and things like that. And that was really the message that we wanted to send with this music video, that it's okay to talk, because things can be tough. So I'll play a little bit of this one. It was a really tough one to shoot because it was very emotional, and there's a lot of really raw emotions because we also interviewed them on camera. It was pretty heavy. So we hope that we captured this as best we could and really do it justice. Probably better with audio. All right.
Our nation has created over 100,000 veterans over the last 20 years.
We sent them to fight wars,
create and keep peace,
and help others in times of disaster.
It was hard for them all.
But for many, coming home was harder.
lost mates,
Lost health.
lost sense of purpose.
Lost life.
Hey brother.
Hey brother,
Hey brother,
hey sister,
Hey sister,
Help is hope.
Help is hope.
we're Aussies,
we're Aussies.
and we're here to give it.
Hey brother, I know it ain't right. When you get back from over there, you shouldn't have to fight. And your mother, she called me yesterday. She's worried sick about you, man. So I just called to say, hey brother, one day at a time. Though I got your back, 'cause I know you risked yours for mine. You fought for something they'll never take away. I know you think nobody cares, and I hope I ain't too late. Hey brother, hey brother, you had to grow up fast. You've seen things nobody should, and we ain't supposed to ask each other what's really going on. But that just makes the day so dark and nights just seem so long. We should pick up that phone. Hey brother, one day at a time. Though I got your back, 'cause I know you risked yours for mine. You fought for something they'll never take away. I know you think nobody cares, and I hope I ain't too late. Hey brother, hey brother, grab a beer. Hey brother, I want you to know that you got one right here. Hey brother, one day at a time. Though I got your back, and we don't leave a man behind. You fought for something they'll never take away. I know you think nobody cares, but I just called to say, hey brother, I love you.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's pretty heavy. I remember at the Golden Guitars, the Wolf Brothers actually played this song live, and they had the video on the screen behind them, and they started with that intro, and they said what they said, and I remember it cut into black, and the feeling that you could just feel ripple through the audience was unbelievable. So yeah, that was that. So we'll keep going. So following that, the other clip I did with the Wolf Brothers came out, Storm Rolling In, and then I got a call from Steve White. Now, Steve White is a legendary music manager. He's worked with pretty much everyone in the Australian music industry. He's worked with AC/DC, Dragon, I'm pretty sure the Easy Beats, you name it. But he's worked with a lot of people, and he currently works with Lee Kernaghan. So I got an email from Steve, and he said, "Oh, would you be interested in shooting a clip with Lee Kernaghan?" Isn't that the dumbest question of all time? It's like, of course he knew what the answer was going to be. So the Wolf Brothers, I thought about it for 1 second. Lee Kernaghan, I thought about it for 0.3 of a second and said, yes, I would love to. Things kind of changed a little bit. There's certainly levels in the music industry in terms of not only like audience size, but also money. For this particular clip, Lee's obviously had an incredible career and been very successful in what he does. So we lined up a date to go and shoot this clip, and before I knew it, I was on a jet to Coolangatta, and then from Coolangatta we were on a private plane out into the outback. And I remember being on this plane with the pilot, myself and Lee, just the three of us, and I went, holy shit. So that was certainly an experience I won't forget. So we went out to a place called Louth. Has anyone been out to Louth before? Yep, we got a couple. It's pretty far away, isn't it? Yeah, so we flew out there because if we drove it would have taken us like 12 or 14 hours. But it's kind of, if you guys know Cobar, it's like a little bit further out. And there's an amazing place out there called Trilby Station. And it's a huge sheep station. It's like 200,000 acres. It's absolutely massive. And during this period of time when we went, it was incredibly dry. And we went out there and we took 2 days and we roughed it a little bit. We're in the shearers' quarters there, so pretty basic as you would expect out there. But once again, we were just blessed with the most incredible landscapes and lighting, because lighting is such an important part of video. So if you've got like a really crappy day and it's overcast and there's no sun coming through, it's not going to be the best, but thankfully out in the outback, there's no clouds. For most of the time anyway. It was really, really simple crew. It was just myself, Lee, a couple of actors, and that was pretty much it. So during this clip, I've never been afraid of putting my body on the line to get the shots that we need. I've had cars thunder past me at like hundreds of kilometres an hour. I've had planes fly like straight over my head. And of course, this clip was no different because this was an important clip. So in this one, I have a very, very fond memory of sitting on the tailgate of a Land Cruiser. Has to be a Land Cruiser, you can't use anything else. And we're going along at about 80 kilometres an hour. So I'm just sitting on the tray, just like this as we're going along. And I've got a car, like literally right where you are, coming along at 80 Ks as well. And I've got nothing except Lee Kernaghan grabbing the back of my shirt to make sure I don't fall off on this dirt road. But the important thing is, we got the shot. And you'll see it right near the start of the clip. So I'm gonna play this one for you. So this clip is probably where the doors really started to open, because everyone loves Lee Kernaghan. He's such an icon in Australian country music. So when this clip came out, it was on. But once again, it was all just about showcasing those incredible landscapes that we have here in Australia. And with a bit of luck, things come together. That's the shot.
It's road train dust on a blue track. It's cane fields getting lit. It's combine lights before the dawn. It's a Uluru sunset. It's 40,000 years of dreaming. The heartland keeps on beating. That's us flying down an old dirt road. That's us driving through fields of gold, getting high on a country station, rolling through this back road nation. And that's us, and I got you next to me. Right here is where I wanna be. We got a good vibration, living in this back road nation. Wild and it's free, it's a saltbush sea, it's pink galahs in flight. It's out of town, it's a tailgate down, it's a campfire in the night. A way of life, it's the life we're living, as long as this big world keeps spinning. That's us, flying down an old dirt road. That's us, driving through fields of gold, getting high on a country station, rolling through this back road nation. And that's us, and I got you next to me. Right here is where I wanna be. We got a good vibration, living in this back road nation. Unsung towns and ancient ground, a road that never ends. It's the homeland song that when you're gone calls you home again. And that's us, flying down an old dirt road and driving through fields of gold, getting high on a country station, rolling through this back road nation. That's us, and I got you next to me. Right here is where I wanna be. We got a good vibration, living in this back road nation.
Thank you. Yeah, so I actually had had batteries in the birds, so they'd come out at the right time. But yeah, like that was just another chance thing, and a lot of these things have just been chance happenings that we've just managed to capture and have made such a great part of the music video. Because we're just out there shooting on the station, and then Lee's kind of walking back, and once he got to a certain point, these birds would just take off. And then when I saw that, I was like, ooh, here we go, let's get behind the birds. Yeah, so that was that one. So I'll move on. I've just got some notes here because my memory's not great. 13 years of being in the music industry, it's a lot of alcohol. Okay, cool. So yeah, we shot that clip, and at that point we were like, yeah, this is it. Things are going great. And then I got a call from Jane Denham. Is anyone familiar with Jane Denham? One? Yeah, she's not as well known as Lee Kernaghan, obviously. But has anyone heard of the Ice Road Truckers? Well, I remember I was actually doing a teaching day at a school because I also have a graduate diploma in education, and it was during the lunch break, and I got a call from Jane Denham, and I thought, okay, this is interesting, we'll do another music video, this will be fun. So I answer the phone, and she says, I never shot a clip with her before, she goes, do you want to come to Alaska with me to shoot a music video? Oh, yeah. I don't know, Jane, you tell me. So before we knew it, we'd set a date, and she tells me she'd lined up the Ice Road Truckers. Lisa, Kerry, and Maya from the show, if you guys are familiar with the show. And I thought, oh crap, here we go. So Thankfully, we went, I think, in November, so it was kind of like coming into their summer, because I was thinking, man, I hope my camera gear is going to last, because the gear's rated down to about -10. It can operate pretty well. Obviously, the battery life gets a bit shortened. You get cold batteries, you get into trouble. But I wasn't sure where we were going to be shooting. You know, are we talking like Anchorage, or are we talking Yellowknife up north there? Because there's quite a big difference in the temperature there. So thankfully, she said Anchorage. I'm like, okay, the gear's going to last. So we flew over there, did it in a couple of hops. I think we went San Francisco and then to Seattle and then got to Anchorage. And when we arrived in Anchorage, it was about 11 p.m. at night, and my bag was nowhere to be seen. So that was just brilliant. You know, after being in transit for hours and hours and hours, the bag not showing up, brilliant. So we went clothes shopping the next day and got some clothes. Thankfully, the bag arrived a couple of days later, so thanks so much for that, Qantas. And I don't think they've gotten much better. I think one of the important things when you're shooting music videos is to listen to the local knowledge. You know, because a lot of people that live in the areas, they know where the spots are. And this particular clip was no different, like going to basically the other side of the world and just trying to scout locations. You know, you can kind of do a little bit online, but in person's the way to go, because you can really see what it's gonna look like. So thankfully, we said to these guys, and we said, you know, we just want, you know, the best that we can kind of find in Alaska within kind of a couple of hour radius. So he goes, okay, sure, no problem. And you know, off we went. And he showed us all these amazing spots. We took one day just to scout and make sure we were all across it. And he took us to this place which is about 2 hours north of Anchorage. And this is a place called Glacier View. And it was certainly a glacier view. It was one of the most spectacular places I've ever been in my life. I had the camera overheating, I think, from all the photos I was taking. So this was a really important clip too, because I think the clips that are the most important clips are the ones that are speaking to a bigger message. And this is another one that is kind of like that, you know, in the same way that we were talking about like veterans with the Wolf Brothers. This was a song about the truck drivers, you know, that are often away from home for very long periods of time. And it's often the family that can really, really struggle, and not having usually the guy or the girl there as part of the family, it can be really, really challenging and a bit disjointed. So we wanted to create a music video that really highlighted what that's like, because, you know, a lot of people are removed from that, but there are some incredibly important jobs that, of course, we do need to keep society running. So I think it's really important to kind of continue to highlight that. So this one is called Black Coffee and White Lines, and once again showcases some of the best landscapes that Alaska has to offer.
I love the feeling that I get when I'm on the road. Every day brings a new adventure. I don't feel alive until I'm behind the wheel.
Being out on the road kind of gives me quite a bit of peace with myself, you know. I get time to think about a lot of stuff. And then the scenery, you know, that's another thing that really gets me. Going different places, hauling different stuff.
I actually like being alone a lot. And being out on the road gives me an opportunity to sit with my own thoughts and like help me make good decisions, and like, because I've got so long to think about it. Or it's not just driving a truck, it's piloting a truck. Knowing what decision you're gonna have to make and constantly thinking in advance about, like, am I gonna chain up for this, am I not? Am I gonna pre-cool the engine so I don't have to downshift to the low side? Like, it's fun.
Born with gypsy blood pumping through my veins. I got a lot of friends who think this kind of life's insane, but I grew up a child of the wind, and every time I hear the freedom of the road call me again, it's black coffee and white lines. Life's all about what's up ahead, not what you leave behind. When I got miles to go, just me and late night radio,
safe on the roads.
The Women in Trucking Association salutes the women behind the wheel. Yeehaw!
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, so that's that one. We wanted to have a nice little Australian tie-in at the end, you know, because it's a global thing, you know, it's something the whole world has to deal with. So, yeah, that's that. So we shot this in November 2019, and you know, we had the golden guitars in January 2020, and then we all know what happened. Whew! Oh man! So as you guys know, the music industry was definitely one of the most hardest hit industries. And it was a disaster. You know, like people had all their shows cancelled. I know Travis Collins, for example, if you guys are familiar with him, had a 50-date tour scrapped. You know, that was going to be his entire income for the whole year, just gone up in smoke, just with one flick of the pen. So that was, of course, a very difficult time, especially for artists, but also for video. We continued to shoot a lot of music videos during this period in time because artists still wanted to get content out to people, which was really good. And a lot of artists that actually continue to push through that have come out the other side of this, and they've done incredibly well. But obviously, that wasn't everyone. So this industry did slow down a lot. So as a result, I'm sitting in the house going, right, what are we going to do? So it was at this point where I thought, well, you know, I'm going to have to make this work because we just bought a block of land and we're building a house. So have to make it work. So at this point, we started to diversify a lot more. And during the pandemic, it was actually, in some ways, a really good time for video because if people wanted to get a message out and they couldn't see people in person, you know, they'd have to do it through video. So we ended up working with councils, working with schools, working with businesses to all try and get their message out online because that was basically the only way you could do it. And it turns out that was a pretty good decision because a little bit different to the music industry, but councils have big budgets. So that certainly helped a lot. So it kind of took this business from, you know, like a $100,000 business to, you know, multi-six-figure business. So it ended up being actually quite a good idea for us to diversify. And thankfully, since the pandemic has subsided a little bit, those contacts have remained. So now we're not only doing music full speed ahead, but we're also working with councils and schools and other organisations as well to provide video content for them to the point where I actually had to hire people. So it's good. You know, I'm really thankful that we're in the position that we're in. As I said before, I went to the golden guitars, lost the first time, lost the second time, lost the third time. It's tragic, I know. Totally unfair. But we got another nomination with Travis Collins for Rainy Day, and there was another really touching song about suicide. So that one lost, so that wasn't fair. But then I got a call from Luke O'Shea and Ashley Dallas. Have you guys heard of them before? Well, especially Luke and Ashley as well. Incredibly well-renowned in country music. I think, geez, at this point, Luke O'Shea's probably got more golden guitars than teeth. So he's, you know, he's been around a while and he's done pretty well. So Luke came with this idea and he showed me a clip. He was like, oh, you know, do you reckon we could do something like this? You know, where we're cutting shots all the time and things are changing. And I looked at this video and went, oh man, this is going to be a lot of work in post-production. But yes, we can. I always said yes. So this was a song with Luke and Ash together. And what we did is we went up to Tamworth. And Tamworth is another beautiful region of Australia. And we shot pretty much everything in the postcode between Tamworth and Nundle. And you'll see it's Ash and Luke, they're doing this dance, they're walking up, they're doing a click, then they're walking back and they're kicking heels and things like this. And that's basically the concept of the video. Now, this was a really unique idea. This was very different to a clip that I'd ever shot as It looks like pretty fun and lighthearted, but it's actually a lot of technique that goes into shooting a video like this. You need to make sure all your settings are right, that are exactly the same on the camera. You need to make sure that your focal length, which is how much you zoom in, you had to make sure that was the same. Had to make sure I was the same distance away from them every single time, and they had to make sure their distance was right, and I had to make sure the framing was right. So it's like all of these things that had to come together to make this look right. And then I had to find all of the shots that looked the closest together. You'll see what I mean when you see this video, but this is the one where I picked up the first golden guitar for video of the year.
People saying that life's so tough, that they're so strung out, running round in a mad rush. We've forgotten how to slow it down, how to take a deep breath and have a good look around. Don't believe it when you hear them say things were so much better back in the old days. There's nothing greater than the here and now, so just take my hand, join me on the long way round.
You and I are just floating through space, and there ain't nothing more amazing than this human race. Everybody here has got the light inside, but it gets shut down. We get caught up in the lies. Don't believe them when you hear them say that God's the true God, because they pray in a certain kind of way. Just look for love, girl, that's where it's found. So take my hand and join me on the long way round. Oh, 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 ooh, 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 ooh. The long way round. Oh, oh, oh. And when you feel like giving up, everybody tries, but there ain't no shortcut. Just keep on dancing, we'll get it right. And maybe someday we can make it to the bright white light. The bright white light. Oh, oh, ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah. 'Cause when it's dark and the road gets a haze, just promise to remember that the world is freaking crazy. Nobody here knows where we're bound, so just take my hand and join me on the long way. And don't believe them when you hear them say that things were so much better back in the old days. There's nothing greater than the here and now, so take my hand and join me on the long way round. The long way round. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, as you can see, that one's a lot of work in the editing room. Thank you. I love working with Ash and Luke because they have such a positive energy. You can really see that come through in the clip. You can tell that it's just maximum joy. Does anyone want to have a guess at how many takes we took?
20.
All right, we got 20. Anyone else want to have a go?
120.
120? Any other ideas? 50 takes. Sunrise to sunset, stopping for about 30 minutes for lunch. And that was about it. So we were just going from location to location to location. So it was a huge day. We were all very tired by the end of it, but I was stoked with the result. I was really happy with how that came out. So yeah, they announced the golden guitar and that we'd picked that up, which was great. I was only kind of half listening, I was kind of zoned out, and then they said, it's a long way around, woo! So got up on stage, and I'll never forget the feeling of like looking out and seeing thousands of people in the audience and having to make a speech that I didn't even prepare. Just had to make that up on the spot, and you got to make sure you remember everyone, the family, the missus. And all the artists that you work with, and so that was good fun. So that was the thing, and then I think we managed to get this one in before the I think there was like that gap in the pandemic where we were all good for a while. I think that's when we shot that. But then we went into that second lockdown, and that was really brutal. The first one we could continue to work because we were allowed to kind of go out and work, which was fine. But the second one was really tough because at that point I was in the Campbelltown LGA, and anyone that lived over that way, they were like, no, can't leave. You're in trouble. Gladys is going to come to your house and get you. Did anyone see those remix videos online where they changed up what she was saying? She's like, you're going to stay at home forever or you will die. It's really funny. But that's what it felt like. So right before we went into that lockdown, the restrictions started to turn on a little bit more. You could feel that grip sort of tightening. And at this point, you were still allowed to go out and do work. At this point, they'd blocked off the regions to travellers that were just going out there for fun. But thankfully, we had an excuse. We were going out there to work, and we were going out there to work. So we were like, playing very closely with the bounds of the law, but inside the law nonetheless. Because it was really important when artists plan releases, these are often planned like 6 months, a year in advance, and they have like a rollout in the schedule to get all this stuff done. So Jane Denham, who I showed you a clip before, was another one that we shot during the pandemic. And when you hear this song, it's kind of like real Wild West, and you're not going to get Wild West in Gledswood Hills, unfortunately. So I said to Jane, look, if we're going to shoot this clip, like we have to kind of go to the outback to get the vibe that you're after. And she totally agreed. She was on board with that. So we went out to a place called Broken Hill. Who's been to Broken Hill?
We're going next month.
Oh, really? Oh, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
About 35 of us.
Yeah.
35, wow. Well, enjoy. So the wonderful thing about Broken Hill is that it never rains. So we had fantastic weather. It's been a rough couple of years with the weather. So we went out there to a little place called Silverton.
Yes, we're going next month.
Make sure you go. It's unbelievable. It's like a filmmaker's dream, that place. Everywhere you point a camera is just spectacular. So this was as close as we were going to get to the Wild West in Australia. So we went out there, just myself and my mum actually, had her out there as the assistant, and Jane. So it was just the three of us, very small crew, obviously, because we couldn't take like 10,000 people out there. And we shot this clip, and that's all we had. So sometimes when you're being creative, it's really good to have limits put on you because it makes you think outside the box a little bit more about what you can do. So we shot that clip and brought it back, edited it all, and this one is called Wanted. A little bit of a preview of what you guys are going to see out there.
She's got Banshee branded on her truck license plate. Driving in the fast lane, she's got no time to waste. There's a trail of wreck and ruin that she's leaving behind. Living like a gypsy, yeah, she's so hard to find. She should be on a poster, wanted dead or alive. She's wanted in a Mustang, let go of the reins. She'll leave you in lost dust like a high-heeled Jesse James. You know she's gonna burn you, still you're drawn to her flame. There's a broken heart reward on her head. She's wanted. Yeah, yeah. wanted. Wanted like an outlaw out on the run. Wanted by every guy looking for love. She's loaded in a Mustang, let go of the reins. She'll leave you in love's dust like a high-heeled Jesse James. You know she's gonna burn you, still you're drawn to her flame. There's a broken heart reward on her head. She's riding off into the sunset. She's wanted, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's wanted, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's wanted, yeah, yeah, wanted.
Thank you. Yeah, so, I learned a few things over the years. Chalk and cheese at the first video.
Did you get the snake you planned, or?
No, well, you see, because of the nature of being pretty restricted with what we could do, there's actually a little bit of stock footage in there. So you might have seen a sneaky Monument Valley in there. I didn't go to the States to shoot that. So sometimes, you can bridge that gap a little bit with stock footage and things like the snake. I don't want to go near them. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun, that clip, and all I can really say is, watch this space, because Jane's doing some crazy stuff. We're actually going to the States with her to do some more, so going to the real Wild West. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things in the pipeline. So yeah, that came out, and that kind of brings us to today. I think over the course of my career in music videos, we'd probably be getting close to 1,000 at this point, so it's been pretty significant. So I'll give you guys the inside scoop. This is the one I reckon is going to potentially get a nomination for Golden Guitar Video of the Year this year. It's come out. And I think a lot of that is also based on the song and the artist. I've shot some incredible videos for artists that aren't super well known, and they sometimes get overlooked. So a lot of it has to do with how established the artist is and the song, of course. The video is kind of the cream on the top. So this is a track that we've just released with Travis Collins. And, he's amazing, one of the best voices in country music. And, once again, it's all come back to landscapes. So I found this place in the Hunter Valley. I'm sure you guys have been up to the Hunter Valley, out in Broke. I reckon that's the best part of the Hunter Valley. And you'll see what I mean. The scenery out here is spectacular. And once again, we had a beautiful day amongst all this rain. So, yeah, this is where we're up to today. Yep, so that's that one. Fun fact, the guy in that clip is French, can't drive. Bonjour, vendez-moi pas de vehicle, what is this? Yeah, and I think the girl in the clip is Italian, so they're both actually born overseas, and they've come over here and they're ridgy-didge, Australian country. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. So I guess the way to sum up is, what have I learnt over the years? What's a message that we can take away? So there's a few things. Probably the first thing is that sometimes success isn't exactly in the form you might expect it to be. Like I was going to be a rock star, that's what we were going to do. But sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of a pivot to find where you're meant to be. So I've never really tried to force stuff too much. If I know something's working, I'll go down the road and try and make that happen that way. On top of that, being kind gets you a very long way. Very long way. There's no substitute for hard work. It's easy to talk all the talk, but at the end of the day, it's the results and hard work that are what really pays off. I think it's important to put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. But at the same time, it's really important to keep that door open so other people can learn and grow themselves. And that kind of feeds into being kind as well. And on top of that, true fulfillment comes from contributing to something much larger than you and your network. And that's what I've found. I've been really lucky with what I've been able to do so far to contribute to a community that's much larger than people I'll ever be able to meet. And I'm really thankful for that opportunity to do that and bring so much joy to people's lives and to artists and everyone that has anything to do with country music. So thanks for listening to me crap on for 40 minutes. And if you've got any questions, be more than happy to answer and have a chat. But thank you very much.
Any questions? No?
Must have covered everything.
I was just going to say, when you take all this footage, it must take you hours and hours and hours and hours to actually put together the video.
Yes. Yeah. So generally we'll shoot, be able to film a clip in a day, and then if I'm working flat out, I can usually turn around and edit in one day, usually 2 to 3 days. And that's only come from practice. Over time, I've learnt the tricks of the trade, where I've got it to the point where I can basically edit a music video to some extent like live TV. So it's a matter of watching like 8 or 10 takes all at once and going, yep, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and then kind of cutting the story in on top of that. So it's really helped to be able to edit in a very fast way because we're obviously doing a lot of volume of clips these days. So it's really important to make sure you're on top of the speed as well.
How do you put it all together? It must be,
Yeah. For sure. So I use a program which is kind of like Photoshop but for video called Premiere Pro. And the important thing is you kind of map out the story. Where is this clip going to go from start to end? And you want to make sure that from the start to the end it's coherent. So that's probably the most important thing, because if you're just kind of like putting shot here and there and it's like this and that, like it doesn't make too much sense. So the way I usually edit is chronologically. So I'll just start at the beginning and work my way through, just making sure that the story's consistent throughout the music video. So generally we'll end up with probably 500 gigabytes of footage per music video. Sometimes it can be all the way up to a terabyte. So we just have to dig through that and try and find the best bits. That's pretty much how we do it. Yep. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it certainly helps for syncing up a few cameras at once. Yeah. Yep.
A lot of drone footage in there.
Yeah, I love drones. One of my favourite things. And in terms of filmmaking, I find that they're absolutely irreplaceable. Because you go back to say the 90s, before a lot of this drone technology existed, you'd have to hire a helicopter, if you wanted to get those shots. So I'm really thankful I live in an era where it's simple. The drones are like this big. They just fold up, go in your bag, and the cameras on them are as good as the ground cameras these days. So I think drones are especially important for being able to really establish the location. And because I'm so big on landscapes, the best way to do that is from that sort of bird's eye view. Yeah. Usually I'll just shoot on the one, but they're pretty quick. I can get mine about 80 k's an hour. Yeah. Yep.
If you wanted to see all that again, what website?
For sure. So my company is called Blacklist Productions. So if you go to blacklistproductions.com.au, we've got everything on there. We have our show reels of heaps of stuff that we've done, other music videos. There's a lot of source material to pull from. So blacklistproductions.com.au. Yeah. Cool. Oh, thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Ray. It was interesting that last clip.